Let's get on to the rest of the movie here. Yes, my pleasure. Okay. Nancy. Nancy? Nancy? There you are. All right. View, power. Yes, winners and losers. Keep score. Right, because you're transferred. This is what happens in life. No, honestly, this is the way that it works. And no shame in that, no harm in that. Just understanding it. Most of us, I never spent my not-self years being what I was supposed to be. I was always in transference. Always. I mean, this is what happens. So the other side of that power view, is this, personal view. In your own little bubble, everything in your own thing, everything seen within the context of your bubble, which means that you get deeply absorbed into your mental trip, and you've got one large mental trip, right? So you get totally involved in the mental trip, and you never get to live out that other thing that you're here to see. I mean, after all, you're not here to see whether you're a winner or a loser. It's not your movie. You're here to see it out there. Not only are you here to see it out there, but ultimately as a projector, you're here to empower others with the potential of, being able to correct their place. I mean, you're the one who's measuring. It's like, people who have the power view, they can look at their children as an example, and they can see when, they're going through phases where they're sliding, when your kid becomes a teenager and they don't really want to go to school anymore, that kind of thing where you could see differences in their attitude and the way they're doing things. This is typical power. You're just seeing it. You're seeing that whole movement in the whole, progression system, the up and the down. This is what you're here to see. You're not here to be lost in your own trip. Being lost in your own trip allows you not to take responsibility for all of that. It allows you to back off and say, okay, and you've got the 50th gate strong, eh? So there's a part of you, every time somebody hooks you up splenically, in which there's this, you have to take responsibility for the other, You're here to make sure that they're not losers out there. So you cannot afford to be into your own trip. And your motivation, which is guilt, which is to be a fixer, is to make that difference, is to consciously be able to fix that, to help people in being able to fix that. And the transference there, which goes to hope, that transference there really gets you into trouble. It gets you into this, I don't want to have to do with that world out there. Because you see, if you're designed to be a 3, to see the world as it is, the winners and losers, and you transfer, you distract to the 6, it's basically somebody who says, I don't want to be here in the world. I don't want to see all this. I don't want to deal with all this. It's horrible out there. Give me a nice protected environment where I can live inside of my bubble and I don't have to worry about any of that stuff out there, and I don't have to take responsibility for the mess that's out there and all those other things, and I don't have to be a fixer. Well, it has to go out and fix that, and has to fix that for the others, and has to help other people in that process. And again, as a projector, mental projector, you've been deeply conditioned. 4 open motors. I mean, that's a trip to begin with. Single definition. Every one of those centers has a huge power over you in terms of conditioning influence. And you've been like that from the moment you came into the world. So it's not like you're supposed to recognize that. It's about, this is where you're going. I mean, this is what you get to. Think about our passenger consciousness. When you see mechanics, there is a quantum phenomena that takes place. As you take the information in, it's not like you have to work with it. It's as you take it in and as you begin to see, it begins to impact you. What's going to happen to any of you that follow this process is you're going to begin to see that, if you look at, the way you're supposed to see and distraction, or the way you're here to think and motivation and transference, it's always like this. It's a balance, but it's off balance. Most of you start off with your distraction and your transferred motivation being at the top end of the seesaw. And you get a little bit of what's really you at the other end. And as you correct your process, you change this to the correct imbalance. In other words, you're more there in terms of what you're naturally, and the distraction or the transference is just giving you a taste. It's an ongoing process. The dilemma for you is you're not here. No. See, you only have one definition, and your only definition is unconscious. So you'll have no defined life force that's conscious. So you don't have conscious access to your own definition. And the rest of you is open. So who you are is not a tangible. Got an undefined G, open heart center. There's no real, who you think you are has nothing to do with your definition. You don't even know you're a projector. I mean, I had to tell you, right? That's a joke. It's my black sense of humor. All you can do is listen to your voice. Forget all the stuff today. The one thing you take from me today, you listen to your voice, because this is where your wisdom is. It's always in what you say, not in what you think, not in what you feel. It's in what you say. If you begin to listen to what you say, you're going to hear your truth, because this is who you are. Everything is coming out of your throat. Everything. And because it's unconscious, you have to hear it, which means you can't allow your personality to get in the way, so you can listen to yourself. It's like me. I have a totally unconscious mind, and my ajna is unconscious to my throat. So I never have notes. I never know what I'm going to say. I don't know any of those things. All I can do is sit back and see what happens. So I sit back and I suddenly hear myself speaking, and I listen. You're not the only ones listening to me. I listen to me. I've learned more from myself than any other teacher I've ever had. No, I'm not joking. I mean, my long-term students know that. I've taught thousands and thousands and thousands of classes. I have no idea what I'm going to say, and sometimes I say the damnedest stuff, and I listen to that and I think, shit, that's a good one. That was good, bro. That was good. I don't know where it comes from. You don't know where it comes from. You have no idea. So you've got to learn to trust your voice. If you learn to trust your voice, you'll see that you can really navigate on this plane, because that's what it's all about for you. Okay, Paulo. Your view is personal. So, this is the other side of the story, the personal view. See everything within your own context. This is the personal view. Don't get distracted to the power trip. Don't get distracted, to being a bean counter. Don't be distracted into scorekeeping. And I know, Paulo, how you love to keep score at soccer games. Don't do that. Stay away from the score. This is the other side. I love these dualities because they're so perfect. When I first understood all of this, and I realized my own design, and I realized nothing expressed for me more how far away I was from myself than the way my perspective worked. My perspective was so into, seeing everything within this context, and here I was constantly out there in the world doing all that measuring and looking at all the winners and the losers and not wanting to be a loser and, all this kind of stuff and being highly competitive and all of that. Wow. And when I saw that I wasn't that, which was very satisfying for me, it was like, okay, never again, right? It's not true. If I was only locked in my bubble, what am I going to see? I need to be aware of what's going on in the world. It's part of what I do. That other part of me gets to see that, as long as it's the thing that doesn't control me and doesn't dominate in the way in which I see. Yes, I'm here to see. You're here to see in your own framework. But at the same time, understand that it's good to have a balance. All of you, in all of these things, you need to see, you need that unbalanced construct. You always need to have the other side in order to give you that balance. When it comes to motivation, your motivation is hope. Don't try to fix things. Hope people drive me crazy. The people who are naturally hope people, because they're shitty fixers. No, it's true, right? They're not supposed to be fixers. They're here to be hopeful. I hope the plumbing will work. Now, I would rather be with a two that says, I hope the plumbing will work, than to be with a two that decides to fix the plumbing. Because the moment they fix the plumbing, it's going to cost me a lot of money. Because they are not fixers, and they're not here to fix things. So don't fix. Sit by the river, watch the birds go by, enjoy life, and wait for those things to show up. There's nothing to fix. And of course, if you've got hope, and you're in a relationship, and the relationship goes sour, pardon my projector pun, if the relationship goes sour, you don't want to get into fixing. Imagine, you're here to be hopeful. I hope that she dies. That's hopeful. That's correct. Fixing, we're going to work out our relationship. Give me a break. You're not going to be able to fix that. A hope for death or something like that. Hopefully she'll leave. Hopefully she'll get the message, or he, or whatever the case may be. But don't try to fix it. And these are the fixers. And you see them. That's why nothing gets fixed. Nothing. Look at the roads in this city. Nothing gets fixed. Nothing ever gets fixed. Because the people that are fixing it are hopers. They're not here to fix the road. They're here to wait for the road to mysteriously and magnetically and magically be healed. See, we get so messed up, right? When you have a person in this person's life and they step into this person's life and they bring about that transference, and there they are trying to fix everything and feeling guilty and, it's such a mess. And it's so easy to be aware when you know how it works. This is the great dilemma on the planet. It's ignorance. It's about not understanding mechanics. If you don't understand mechanically how things work, you can never be free. You can never be liberated in your consciousness. You can't. And by being able to see these things, and by being able to realize them, it's not about believing me, after all. The most important thing that happens to you in this process is you see your own distraction, you see your own transference in your own life, in your own time. You see it. And the moment you see it, there's this, this actually works this way. And that's a change in consciousness. It is. You get to see the helplessness. You get to see there's nothing you can do about it. You can't stand there and say, I am not going to transfer. I cannot be transferred. Never going to happen. And it doesn't work that way. We don't have any protection. I still can't stop emotional waves from going through my open emotional system. It's not like, there's no protection. There's only awareness. Once you have the awareness, you can let go of all this petty stuff about, this happened and that happened and it went this way and that way. And you just get to see the mechanism, because otherwise you're always onto yourself. Otherwise you're always to blame. Or the other person's to blame. Or there's something else that's to blame. Ruins life. It's not fun. All right. Randy. Your view. Wanting. Seeing the wanting out there. Seeing what's lacking in so many ways. It is... It's very much a deeply transpersonal way of looking at community. See what they're lacking, and at the same time, by seeing what the want is, by beginning to understand what they need. It's like the work you do with addicts, right? It's that kind of thing. You see how deep their want is, and at the same time, it's a way of seeing how to deal with that at the same time. The dilemma comes from the motivation, because the motivation is innocence, and you're a 6-3, so it suits you. That is, I'm not here to lead. You're not here to be motivated by desire, which means that even though you can see the want and be helpful as generators can, as projectors can, that you're not here to motivate yourself to do that. In other words, you're not motivated to save the world. That I know about you. You're not motivated to save the world. Fortunately, because I don't think the world would be a better place. But then again, I should be nice, right? There's going to be, yes. But anyway, getting back to innocence. Innocence is an interesting thing. Innocence is the perfection of role model. This is our goal. Our goal is to get out of the fifth line phase that we're in now, which is basically somebody like me, a heretic, trying to whip all you sheep up into being wolves, which is the old way of doing things. And the next phase in our development, which is rooted in the six, that is, it's rooted in everybody being their own authority, everybody being their own role model. So you're here to be the fool on the hill. You're here to be the role model that if they happen to end up in your aura, that they may be able to tap into you and you can tell them where their want is. That kind of thing. The danger for you is always leaving the innocence. The moment that, and you're an alpha, eh? I mean, you're 31-7. So the moment that you're into, I will lead them, this is a country that fails. These are the real dictators in life. They're the ones who are supposed to be innocent, and they're transferred over to being the leaders, right? And these are the people that lead countries down the proverbial toilet. I mean, they really do, because they have no idea how to lead. None. In the same way that we're opposites, in the same way that I have no idea how to be innocent. I really don't. I have no idea what that really means. I mean, I pretended that for years. I have no idea what that means. I am not an innocent. He's an innocent, and I know that because he's staying at my house, and he's an innocent. He's a real innocent. Okay, Ruth. Ruth? There you are. View, power. To see the winners and the losers. Always nice. I always like it that somebody keeps score. If nobody's keeping score, you don't know what the hell is going on. I mean, it's, again, why we read our newspapers. We're always trying to figure out what's the score. Who's got, who doesn't, what's happening, what's going on. So very important for you to see who has it and who doesn't. Now remember, it's not about your power. It's not. Everything about what it is to be you, and again, you have self-projected authority. So everything about you is coming out of your memory, and everything that you say is based on experience. So you also have to learn to listen to your voice. It comes out unconsciously. It's not a comfortable thing. To listen to your voice. You're here to make a contribution with that voice, and part of that contribution is to let people know where they stand. This is what it is to be a power being. You look out and you see where people stand. And basically, whether that's, I'm being simple when I play the winner-loser game, it's about seeing where they are in their life. It's really about seeing where they can go, or where they've, lost, where they've fallen off, where their life has gone bad, these kinds of things. So it's part of the view that is there. On the other hand, when I look at the motivation is fear. So you need to get to the bottom of things. That's the most important thing for you. In other words, in order for you to be properly motivated, you can't afford to get into anything until you've dug into the details. And the details for you are really a key. That is, it's something you're always looking for. You've got all these 17s looking down at the empty 62, You're always looking for where the facts are, what the details are, because that's the only way that you free yourself from your fear. So whenever you're dealing with something that frightens you or concerns you, you need to investigate it. You need to see what it is. You need to dig into it. Now, if you're not motivated that way, then you end up motivated by necessity. And that's not who you are. In other words, constantly thinking about only those things that you need to do, those things that need to be dealt with and so forth. Your mind gets pulled away entirely from what is really correct for you. So it's this combination of, being able to recognize where the other is in relationship to the life process. I mean, again, these are you're one of the real measurers. You're really here to see what that's about. It also says something about, if you're going to live a third color perspective, that you need to be connected to your world. In other words, operating out of isolation, not paying attention to what the talking heads are saying, or picking up on the local gossip, or whatever the case may be, that isolating yourself from the information flow is not a healthy thing for you, because it limits the quality of the measuring you can do in terms of seeing things for what they are. So it's very important for you to be informed. You have an experiential mind. So, it's one of those things for you where, being able to process things, you're somebody that's very good in dealing with confusion. That's one of your themes, and not being confused yourself, because that's where it could end up being, if you're not correct. But it means that you can make sense out of things for others by seeing them where they are in terms of their relationship. So, it's one of those important fields for you. The most important thing for you is to realize that you should be motivated to research things and not motivated by your needs. So, the moment that your mind is just digging into things because it's interested, that's healthy for you. And it doesn't matter what it's looking at. Because ultimately, as a projector, others are going to seek guidance. The storehouse of knowledge that you have, whatever it may be, that's what's going to be the tool that you're going to have to provide for them when they're looking for that guidance. Right? So being interested, being involved in those things is a key. Okay, Susanna. Susanna? There you are. You have a personal view. You've got one of the opposites. You've got the 3-6. You've got a personal view and you've got desire for a motivation, so you can twist yourself. Right? The personal view, again, is that you see things within your own frame. Always. So it's very selfish. It's very self-absorbed. You see things within your own movie. So you're not like her, where you need to get out and see that balance of all those things out there so you can do all that measuring. You're simply here to measure your own process in relationship to the life around you. That really is the key for that. But the motivation is the desire. And of course, because you have a 6 perspective, it can impact you internally so that it pulls you towards innocence, the 6 of the motivation. In other words, you can get caught up in that double trap where, I'm into my own thing and I'm innocent and I'm not going to do anything and I'm not going to care. So, basically what you have is the same thing I have. In other words, you're here to see what other people can't see, and you better tell them about it. Because that's what you're here for. You're here to see what other people don't see. This is part of your perspective. It's part of the way, this is what personal perspective is about. It's always right perspective. It's always about, in that essence, seeing what other people don't see. Now, often, if you see things that other people don't see and you can't, get the message across to them, they might think you're a little weird because you're seeing things they don't see. And a lot of people that have this kind of configuration are often considered to be a little weird. They saw ghosts, they saw this, they saw things that other people don't see. So you're here to see what other people don't see, but you're here to lead by that. You're on the cross of service, after all. You're on the cross of service, you're tribal, you've got the 1858, you're here to challenge, judge, correct, all of those kinds of things. So, you're here to be of service, and the only way that you can be of service is to be a leader, and is to be a leader based on seeing things that other people don't see, which is what you can point out to them. You're not seeing that. It's what I do here. You're not seeing this, you're not seeing that. Here's a way to look at it. So it's something very important for you to grasp about yourself. Right? You can't avoid leadership. You can't. All you can do is wait for it to be there correctly. You can't seize it either. You can't demand it. You can't say, I'm the leader. It isn't going to work. You have to wait for the invitation, but the invitation will come. It's something to grasp about the projector life, if you live it fully. All the invitations are there. Really, you're here to ride the magic carpet. You are. There is no other life other than that. That's the destiny of the projector. It really is the magic carpet, and all you have to do is surrender to that. Surrender is one of those complex words in spirituality, but it isn't mechanically. Mechanically it's just allowing your vehicle to operate correctly and see what happens. That's all. Go through your mechanical process, your strategy, your authority. Be as aware as you can be of your mechanism. The more aware you are of the mechanism, the more your consciousness grows. You get to see these elements, the distraction, the transference, the this, the that. You get to see the way in which it works. That's not just learning in that way. It has an impact on you. You become less and less trapped by what you get to see. The more you see distraction, the more you see transference in your relationships with others, the less impact it has on you. Because ultimately you get to see that it's just a mechanism, nothing else. It's not what you're about as a being. You're not about falling to the conditioning. And it's about seeing that if you're operating correctly, you don't have to make a mental decision that you're going to lead. It's what's going to happen to you. Because there's going to be somebody there that invites you to that. There's going to be somebody there that recognizes that in your nature, and that's what you get. Remember something about your aura. You know, where I started today. You have these incredible penetrating auras. They're so powerful. You know, and there you are going, hey, I'm here. You don't have to do that. You know, look at me. I'm your, you don't have to do that. You do that all the time because all of us who aren't projectors know. You know what it's like for me to sit here? You know, I've got 17, hey, I'm here. I see you. I do. I feel it. You know, it's like being in a hot focused beam. You know? You don't have to worry about getting attention. You can raise the dead. You know, you look at the corpse and it goes, oh, you know, another projector. You know, and this is the whole dilemma with projectors. You're always thinking, oh, I got to let them know. You know, poor me, woe is me, you know. Hi, I'm here, and, you know, all your stuff. You don't have to do that. The moment that you put your eyes on anyone, you're putting your aura in them. Instantly. You know, and depending on their sensitivity, they're going to pick up this or that or the other, whatever the case may be. But it's not like you have to set them up. It's not like as a projector, you know, and you look at somebody and you step into their aura, that you have to say to them, I'm a projector and you have to invite me. You don't have to do that. The moment you step into somebody's aura, they want to invite you. No, really. It's so powerful. Not only do they want to invite you, they want to control you, keep you, hold on to that, blah, 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 all those things. You have to be more aware of what your aura is doing because your aura is so powerful. And so you don't have to go through this, you know, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other thing, you know, this is what I want to do. And they'll ask you, do you do that? You know, can you help me? You know, all of those things. And if you don't invite others, it's one of those diseases projectors have. Oh, let me invite you. You know? It works the other way around. You know? It's not about you inviting anybody. You don't have to invite anybody. You know, nobody in your life deserves an invitation. And unless it's another projector. You know, because it doesn't work that way. You're here for that. And you see, if you refuse everything but that, that is what you will get. It's what you'll get. It's why it's a magic carpet. It's a free ride. It is. It's what it is to be a projector. You know, you're not here to carry the burden of keeping all this stuff going. It's what generators do. You don't have to do that. You know, the only task that you have is to be aware. This is your task. You're here to recognize. You're here to be aware. The more aware you are, the more successful you're going to be. The more aware you are, the more energy access you will have. And it won't cost you. You know, most projectors now, in order to get their energy access, they pay a heavy price, right? You got to sleep with those people, right? You know? Sure. Sometimes.
Desire for a projector. I mean, I guess the desire to lead, often we look at as like the group. But in some cases, I feel like it's more individual.
It can be at many, many levels. I mean, I think the thing to recognize for any projector that has desire is how much responsibility is on the following part before the leading part. It's follower to leader. So it's about what you learn and who you learn it from and where you take that. Because again, for all projectors, it's knowledge that makes the difference. You're the only type that's here to be different because of what you know or understand or make sense of. This is what you're here for. You're not here for the physical transformation of the planet. You're here for the intellectual transformation of the planet. So the greatest responsibility that projectors have is to study whatever that thing is, whatever that thing is that turns you on. And when I say study, it can just be doing it, if you know what I mean. It's about really being absorbed, totally being focused in something so that you get to the depth of that, because that's the thing that is going to pave your way in this life. So, it's an intellectual responsibility. It's an awareness responsibility in projectors. So the part of the desire, the leader, follower, you really have to have that track that takes you to that place that naturally is going to bring you to a position of leading. If you're fourth color, it's going from novice to master. It's all of these various processes where you go from ignorance to accomplishment. And for a projector, ignorance is the most dangerous thing in your life. It just is. What you cannot grasp intellectually can always threaten you, because your life is determined by your intellectual capabilities. It's determined by your capacity to recognize. It's determined by your depth. Remember, you're not providing the other with energy. You're not energy, but you're not providing them with manifesting or generating. You're not providing them with that. What you're providing them with is an intellectual skill set, a recognition skill set that you can trade, quote unquote, for those resources that they have. That's the deal. The deal is you have something that is consciousness oriented, that you're here to contribute on this plane. That's why you guys are always in trouble the moment that you're into the form stuff. The moment that you're into your own life and its problems and all of these things without seeing what your real potential is. Yes, being a projector has its stuff. Every type, they all have their stuff. But it's really about grasping, that what is there for you as a being is to fulfill yourself at the intellectual level so that you get to recognize something. Doesn't matter what it is. But the mastery of recognition leads to recognition, leads to a sense of self-worth, leads to respect from the others, and then you can begin to do the negotiating. I think most projectors don't know how to negotiate. They don't know how to set the terms. They don't. And if you don't know how to set the terms, you're always going to get it on this planet. And if you're a projector and somebody wants something from you, set the terms. Instead of just succumbing, or being pulled in and turned into a slave. Because after all, you only have one thing to offer, your awareness. It's not like you're going to put your shoulder to the wheel, Projectors don't do that. So what you have to offer is that you have your awareness to offer. So it's something that you need to work on. This is really the key. Okay, last one here. We have Sylvia. And the view is survival, and the motivation is hope. And again, one of the keys for you is to be clear that the way in which you see is that, you see within the context of how to survive. How to survive on this plane is a big deal. And how people survive on this plane is a big deal. Most people are really threatened by life on this planet. It is frightening. And if you look at the situation now given the world recession and all these things that have been going on for the last 18 months or so, there's an enormous number of people that are only concerned with their survivability, only concerned with their anxiety over their jobs and whether they're going to be able to maintain them and whether they're going to, all of that stuff that goes with it. Survival becomes a big thing. And it's something that's really important for us to grasp about what it is to be us, is that we're not here to be stuck in survival mode. We're really not. That's what strategy and authority is here to do. Your strategy and your authority liberates you from being stuck in survival mode. It's the only thing that does that. And the moment that you get out of that is the moment that you really can get in touch with, the way the mind works. And of course, your motivation is hope, and it means you're not here to be a fixer. The twos are really strange. It's a cognitive gift in us to be prepared for something that doesn't exist yet. It's an amazing thing. Okay? When you look at cognition, the first two tones are about the splenic system. And the first tone is all about preparing the immune system for those things that do exist. To prepare for this kind of bacteria or that kind of bacteria. And then you get to the second tone, and the second tone prepares for things that you can't be prepared for. What makes it so magical. Being prepared for the thing that's going to come over the horizon. Being ready for the next thing. So the moment that you're somebody that's hopeful, that hopefulness carries with it a very profound quality to it. It's not just about, the blind concept of hope, that you're hoping to win something, whatever the case may be. It is actually a gift of recognizing that there's something coming over the horizon that will resolve whatever it is that you're dealing with. In other words, it's a real gift of being able to catch a glimpse, have a taste of something that's not there yet, and yet it's coming. And hopeful beings have this extraordinary quality. And they lose all that the moment they become fixers. Nothing more devastating than a person that's here to hope trying to be a fixer. Because if you want to see bitterness in a projector, there's a place where you get to see incredible bitterness. Because they're not designed to fix, so they mess everything up that they try to fix. All these fixers that are on the planet, they're all in transference. They can't fix anything. We know that, don't we? I mean, on this planet, things break all the time. Fixing is not a, we can't fix some of our most basic social problems on this planet, let alone anything else. We're not good at being fixers because no real fixers are out there. They're all transferred hope people. Got their fingers crossed behind their back while they're trying to fix something. That hopefully it'll work. And all that pressure on them to make the fixing that be the thing is not. All right. To sum all this up, the most important thing in any of this is that my goal is hopefully to inspire you to watch your mind. Because that's all I really want to do, is inspire you to watch your mind. If you watch your mind and you watch these things, slowly but surely, because you have to be patient, if you watch these things, you will see that ultimately this is something that changes your consciousness. It just does. It's what it's for. But you also have to see the real practical and pragmatic in all of that. The moment that you get to experience this consciously, you have to stop and you have to look at yourself and you have to accept something. You are what you are. You're not going to be anything else. So give that up. Try being who you really are. Because that's what it's about. All of you carry this magic of who you really are in your design. It's what's there. And the moment that you get rid of all of this stuff that controls you, and again, please understand something. You don't erase your mind. You don't put it on no mind. You don't stop your mind from doing all the insane things that it's ever done for you. Because it's what mind is. It's going to talk about nonsense. It's going to try to get you involved in all kinds of idiocy. It's going to urge you to do things that can only backfire. And yet at the same time, it's not about stopping it. It's about watching it and saying, look at the kind of mind I have. What a trip. My mind actually wants me to do that crap. Can you imagine? I'm not going to do that. It's about watching it. It's just a mechanism. Don't take it so personal. As human beings, the vanity. You take all this so personal. You don't get to live the beauty of who you are. You don't. It's not personal. It's your entertainment. It's something to enjoy. Okay. Tomorrow I will take you into how to deal with groups. It's your greatest gift as projectors. And I will show you your relationship to groups in terms of how you're here to guide both small groups and large groups, how you're here to survive your families, because for projectors, it is very, very important to understand how to survive your families. Right? Nobody has a harder time with family than projectors. Nobody. Right? So I will give you some insights into how that works. The same method as today. I'll give you a lecture in the morning. In the afternoon, I'll take you through your charts in relationship to penta and in relationship to wa. So you can see yourself in relationship to transauric forms, and I can give you some insights on what works for you there and what doesn't work for you there. All right. Well, that was a first day. My pleasure. Thank you. Yeah. Great applause. Thank you. No. That was a setup.